What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Welcome back to the Six Rings Cane Show here. Jazz Santana joined by Danny Gillette and my buddy Vish. How you guys doing tonight?
How
Doing
you
well,
doing,
doing
dude?
well.
Good, good, good. Hey, anyway, yeah, well,
Yeah.
as good as we can be, right?
Yeah.
Good. We are good with a question mark. We got a lot. We got a lot of stuff to cover tonight that has nothing to do with the actual game next Saturday, which is pretty interesting. But so many things going on, man. We're actually going to be joined also by a very special guest, Miami Flo, here in a couple of minutes as he's right in the thick of things as well, man. Very passionate Miami Hurricanes fan, and happens to just be very very involved as well. So we're going to be excited to have him on the show in just a little bit. But before we get going on that, obviously we can recap real quick the disappointing loss to Virginia on what we all consider obviously a very questionable series of plays, not necessarily call, because I think that at the end of the day a field goal was is the right choice and it's not the wrong choice, or going for it and taking shots and trying to score a touchdown is also the right choice as well. So I mean, either way, I just think it's the way they went about it and how they executed everything and how Manny Diaz blatantly lied to our faces.
Well, that yeah.
Right, right. I
That,
think
that was
this
the thing.
definitely
Like
right.
he was like, "No, we were trying to score until third down." Like, no, you weren't. Just
Yeah,
own it. Like, what's wrong? Like, it's fine to say you settled for the field goal and the kid missed. Like that happens.
exactly. Yeah, just say we're playing for the field goal. We wanted to set up right in between the hash marks, so it's not to the left and to the right, and he missed. That's it, right? But no, but you got to be the politician, obviously. As we'll probably get into that a little bit with with Flo also, because there's some more talk out there about that. So we'll get to that also. But listen, I mean, look, they shouldn't have won that game anyway. So if they would have won the game, um, yeah, great. They came back. It shouldn't have been that close anyways, right? Miami is obviously okay. Hold on a second. Not obviously, but they are the more talented team. Just if you just look at a team, right, position by position, you'd think that they were the more talented team. I think maybe the edge might have gone to them at quarterback because how well Brennan Armstrong was playing, and we were playing a freshman in Tyler Van Dyke. Tyler Van Dyke had a bad first half, stepped it up in the second half, did what he needed to do to bring the Canes back to win the game. So I don't want to put it all on. I don't want to put any of it on Van Dyke because I
Yeah.
think he did what he needed to do. The running game. Um, Look, the numbers look okay from Cam Harris, but I just wasn't impressed with the way he ran. I was more impressed with the 8 carries for 40 yards or whatever it was that Jalen Knighton had, because of his his ability to shift and to kind of he was this close to breaking like three or four of those all the way, right? So I mean, and again, his first game back, so. The wide receivers, they did okay. Tight ends are non-existent as usual. Again, in this offense, which is a big concern. But for obvious reasons, Will Mallory can't catch a pass anymore, or I don't know if he ever did. So it's so many different things. The defense also had its moments where it played well, and then it didn't play so well. Still too many missed tackles again. So before we get into the rest of the stuff, kind of give me your overall perspective on that game, Vish, and then we'll go to Danny after.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, which is make the field goal, miss the field goal. Like winning that game, like Virginia probably deserved to win that game, and so what we're saying is over 4 quarters got outplayed by one of the worst teams in the ACC. That's what I took away from that. This team sucks now. Like I mean, we're like we can, and you mentioned Van Dyke. He's a gamer. He battled. That touchdown run came out of kind of nowhere. On the last drive, he hit that third and long to Rambo. Like he battled back, and I think the whole team did. But that Virginia outplayed him, and that's not acceptable. Like I don't. They come into your house and push you around. They don't push anyone around. They had 4 sacks. They had 4 sacks in that game. They had 1 in their other 2 ACC games combined. It's just like we're not physical enough, and it shows when you get into these games when the other team rises and hits you. Like we stagger back.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised Manny Diaz didn't say, "Look, that's what Virginia does to everybody." right? As everybody
Well,
thinks
I
he was
do,
going to say.
I do wonder if his. I mean, if he said that this time, it'd be absurd because they got like more rushing yards in this game than the entire ACC play combined as well. But like, I wonder if one of the reasons he like didn't want to admit he settled for the field goal is he's done a lot of like talking about how the defense is actually playing well, even though it's not. And I think part of that's because he's the coordinator now, so he can't be like, well, the defense stinks. And like he was definitely protecting the defense. He didn't expect them to be able to get a stop. You
Right.
go and with reason, like the last stop came when they didn't call targeting on Gervin Hall, who's a whole other story. But like so I think he's just protecting his defense and doesn't want to admit it because the
Yep.
defense is struggling and that's his.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we saw the numbers, and we'll get. By the way, we got Flo on the show. What's up, Flo? How you doing, my brother?
We
Thanks for
doing,
coming
Flo?
on, man.
What's up, boys? How's everybody?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for coming on. We're kind of talking a little bit about defense. How is it's Manny Diaz's baby, and I think they're ranked 94th overall in the country right now in total defense. That's pretty pathetic, if you ask me. And of course we're all kind of disappointed in the showing last week against Virginia. We were talking a little bit about how he blatantly, coach that Manny Diaz blatantly lied to our faces again by saying that he was playing for a touchdown there, and after first and second down, running it right behind Ja'Kai Clark for a couple dive plays or draw plays, whatever the hell you want to call them, didn't work, and then he kneeled it. I don't see how you're playing for a touchdown there at all. And then just say it, man. I was settling for a field goal. That's it. Bottom line, it is what it is. Whether it's the right call or not, that's not what we're disputing. What we're disputing is just you blatantly talking lies, right? To everybody. I mean, I don't know what else. Danny, before we get to Flo, because I definitely want to get your take, Flo, on that game real quick, just kind of like a recap of how you felt about it. But Danny, tell me, I mean, you saw the game afterwards, right? You're up in the Northeast, so you saw the game afterwards. You saw the replay. What'd you think?
I mean, honestly, the first thing that came into my head, and I told this to Dave and Vish just now, we have seen the Miami Hurricanes program the last couple of seasons, or I should say even last season and into this season. It's like the Titanic, right? We know it's going to sink, but we just don't know when.
They're headed towards the iceberg, right?
Yeah, it sunk. And Vish talked about it on the show last week. If this Virginia Cavaliers team beats the Hurricanes, then we're going to have, a serious problem. And we kind of laughed about it. But lo and behold, I mean, Virginia doesn't play sexy football. They're not flashy. They're not, these world beaters, but they play gritty and they can give you a good game. And that's exactly what Virginia did. I mean, sure, we didn't have Derek King. Tyler Van Dyke was in there. We got good performances from the running backs, but this was a game that we still should have been able to pull out. And, if Manny Diaz is on the hot seat, it's on fire right now.
Flo, give me your take, man. I mean, obviously we got a lot to talk about here, but I definitely want to get your take on that real quick.
I mean, I think there was the positive for me. I'll start with the positive with the Virginia game, right? I liked what I saw in TBD. I like that he started off slow. I mean, field position didn't help him, right? He got the ball inside the 5-yard line, I think, 3 times out of the first 5 drives, something like that. And he struggled like a freshman would, a little tentative, throwing high, a little nervous. You can see it. But what my beef with TBD has always been, I need to see what happens when he struggles. We already know he's 6'4", cannon, looks the part. He's a leader. He wins all the internal group contests that the team has. But until you get punched in the face, you don't really know what you got in the quarterback, right? They can talk it and walk it and act it, but you don't know what you have. And I really like the grit that he showed in the second half, how it wasn't pretty. He made a couple unbelievable throws, let's be real. But who would have thought he was going to scramble for a 30-yard touchdown? At the end of the day, right? So for me, that was the positive, seeing that, hey, he answered the bell after, maybe not having that such a hot start. I do expect him to struggle again a little bit on the road against UNC, but I want to see how he bounces off that as well. The negative, I don't think that game was as close as the score has. Virginia had a bunch of drop balls, not just the one for a touchdown, but a couple big third downs for big gains, 17, 20-yard gains that they dropped. that we had nobody in sight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you touched on something that's really what's gotten me to tune away from Manny. I was a Manny supporter until the last, I would say 2 to 3 post-game interviews. I know he's lying, and now that frustrated me because if you're from Miami, there's one thing we'll ride with you as long as you're telling the truth, right? I mean, we'll criticize you, but we're going to ride with you. He's lying. And then that last comment, this is the last thing I say. Some of y'all like this one. We were 3 points away from something special happening.
Yeah, that's what concerned me the most. Yeah, from doing something amazing and do something special, right? I mean, no, man, I'm sorry. I don't know who you're lying to, right? But you're not putting that. And you know what? We can say it a little bit here every once in a while. You're not putting that bullshit by me, man. No. Nah, you're not doing it.
No, and we lived through Al Golden for 5 years. We're fed up with bullshit, man. We can't take this crap. Like I think it's the wrong fan base to try and sell crap to.
Yeah.
We heard every excuse under the sun from that guy while the team played like shit for 5 years. It's just like there's no tolerance for it. To Flo's point, just be straightforward. We settled for the field goal. I thought I was going to make it. He missed it. If I could do it over again, I would have just scored the touchdown. And if he said that, I would have been like, okay. Instead, he's lying to us. Like, you're running sideways with Cam Harris and then running backwards with the quarterback to take a knee, and then you're saying you tried to score a touchdown?
And you know what's crazy about that? I'm sorry, but you know what's crazy about that? We were running the ball great. That's what tells you he was settling. You know what I mean? And in that particular drive, they were running the ball well.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, we do this little weird, let's just not fumble and get right behind Jakai and just kind of fall down. Come on, man.
I mean, people don't realize, we started that drive on the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
Right? And TVD in the running game, and he made some nice throws on that third and long,
Yeah.
3rd and 14 on that in route that I think it was Rambo, right? It was an in route on Rambo that everybody was talking about. Oh, Jalen Knighton was opening the flat. I get it, but he still made a great throw for that first down, right? And then the running game, with Knighton, and then when Knighton fumbled out of bounds, then everybody got scared and they're like, oh shit. And then they brought in Cam Harris, but he still, I mean, they did what they had to do to get in position to score. And then he just kind of took the I guess the foot off the pedal. So it was pretty disappointing. It really
but I get what he was trying to do because we've all seen his defense play. So he's thinking if I put this in the end zone, they're going to go back. To Flo's point, all Virginia do is catch the ball and they'd have another 14 points. So he doesn't trust that defense told him. Like, I get it. Just own it. Say, I didn't think our defense could stop them, so I was just trying to make that the last play of the game and win. Right. And you could at least respect the honesty. But this was... Now, given my entire Twitter timeline was people yelling before this happened, put it in the end zone, I don't trust the kicker. So I don't know how sympathetic they would have been anyway, but once you start lying to people, it's over then.
I mean, look, and by the way, speaking of that, if anybody who's on right now, if you guys didn't read the amazing article that Vish put out there right after the game, I mean, you still got time to check it out because it's kind of a classic, man. It's like Eleanor, what is it, 67 Mustang. That shit ain't going out of style. You can go read that article until you're blue in the face, and it'll still carry the same weight. So you guys go check that out.
Very well done. Yes.
We'll kind of segue over to. I mean, this is a great segue because we're talking about Manny Diaz, right? And obviously, the spotlight is on him, Flo. Okay, the spotlight is on him. A lot of people think that he should have been fired the minute that he stepped off the field. Okay, we all know. We kind of had a feeling that this shit was going to drag on. That it was going to play out the way it's playing out now. To be honest with you, now. There's obviously a lot of rumors out there, Flo, right? That he is fired, but that the administration is not saying anything. That daddy is covering for him, or right? And Flo, listen, I'm gonna put it out there, right? Like some of the stuff that you put out there today on Twitter was like, daddy saved me and all that. I was laughing because it's so funny, but at the same time, like, I mean, read between the lines, right? There's something going on there. And there's a lot of things circulating. There's a lot of things going on. And I'm not asking you to kind of, to say what's going on, but like, just kind of give me your thoughts on the whole situation with Manny Diaz. Has his time run out? What's going to happen is anything going to happen before UNC that you can kind of, that you think, right? So your opinion on the whole situation with Manny Diaz.
If you would ask me this question Sunday morning when I got up, I would tell you Manny was going to be fired this week. Like, he's done. And again, we all know some of the same people, and and there's some people that are really close, and there's things that, and it's frustrating because when you have a little fun on Twitter, and you kind of throw it out there, but you really can't say much. You get the people that are like, oh, cool, something's going on, or yeah, whatever, and then you get the ones that are like, you don't know what you're talking about, you're making up stuff, blah blah blah. The thing is this, you can't say anything because first of all, it's not official, right? Right. Second, who told you? How did you find out? What's going on? And you've been in the media for a while. You know how it is. So I got to tell you, it's a mess. There's a lot of division within the staff. So when they tell you we're all aligned, again, bull crap. I've talked to some of the people, and there's a lot that went down on Saturday. And I said this before. I don't have a problem saying everything I know once it's said officially by them. I have a few players on NIL deals. I'm not trying to be black-eyed by the school, but it'll all make sense when this happens. And the whole daddy thing, like you said, read between the lines. If I'm telling you, in my opinion, from some of the information I got, he was pretty much toast Sunday morning. What could, and then by Monday he's on a radio show. You know what I'm saying? And you guys, you can read between the lines on some of what other coaches tweeted on that Saturday. Yeah. Right.
DVD was DVD and Cooney, right? DVD
right. They said some stuff, and we don't really know what it meant. It could have something to do with that. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe we'll find out. Right. It's a mess. They're not aligned. There are people moving behind the scenes, and big names are moving behind the scenes. Like I said it on my show the other day. You guys know that Zoe has a real job. Highsmith. He has a real job. You think it's coincidence that he's just hanging out in Florida for a couple weeks when all this is happening? And I can't speak for that man because I'm not that dumb. I'm not putting myself out there like that. But people are saying he's meeting with people and he's putting stuff together because, and it's not one. It's a lot of people are saying this is happening.
Right. Benny Blades also, right? Benny Blades is meeting.
Benny Blades is going to meet on the 20th with, I think it's going to be the president and the AD. I don't know if anybody else is in there. But I think that, don't quote me on, but I know those two are going to be in the meeting on the 20th, which is 4 days after UNC. So,
But see, here's the thing: like, how much of that is smoke and mirrors, and how much of it is just show? You know what I mean? Like, we're just doing this just to appease the fan base, and this
right.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's where I'm going with this. So, the people that make decisions are the BOTs, right? The board of trustees. And I have said in the last week, maybe 2 weeks, finally the right people are getting upset. Doesn't mean they're going to do it, but there's definitely movement happening. There are lists being made. There's plan B, plan C being discussed. You know what I mean? And then something happened on Saturday. And when it comes out, a lot of the stuff that kind of rumors and stuff will kind of all the dots will kind of connect, I don't know what happened on Sunday. I know who was involved, but I don't know. I don't know the story on how it went down on Sunday. And that's the honest to God truth. But clearly something changed, and now the timeline is very foggy to me. I agree with your man up there, DJ. I think Manny's seat is on lava right now. It's not even hot. It's on straight lava. Like, I don't have a timeline anymore. It's real foggy, but someone threw him a lifesaver. I can tell you that.
And whether it was who we think it was or somebody else, which obviously we're all probably thinking the same thing, that it could have been, could have been Senior. Here's the problem, man. When you get these politicians involved, you never know what the hell's going to happen. It doesn't matter if it's daddy or not, man.
Well, one of the reasons you have this mess here is because, as Flo mentioned, it's the board of trustees. That's a bunch of people trying to group think a solution. It's because the AD is weak and sucks. And so in a real school, the AD is just like, I own this. I'm going to make the decisions. And it's centralized, and you don't get this chaos. Every time a Miami coach is in trouble, you get this chaos. There's people scheming behind the scenes. There's this person leaking that. You can just find and replace Barry Jackson's article on the leaks. It's the same thing over and over again because there's no centralized structure. Like a real AD would just, I've got this shit. If it's time for him to go, I'm gonna fire him myself. Well, instead, it's this whole committee approach. So then, time you have a committee approach. Some people are going to have one thought, others are going to have another, and you're going to get these leaks and these things. And then when you finally get the right people, which is generally a little bit too late, then you see the move happen. And that's what we see. Like, we always see it's like, just a little bit too late. Like, Al Golden year 5 did not have to happen. We could have fired him after year 4. We knew, but it had to go to Clemson. And we're kind of there again. Like, there's no reason why with this big layoff before UNC, he shouldn't have been fired on Friday.
Well, to your point, real quick, I'm sorry, to your point, it's not rocket science. There was supposed to be this statement this week. I'm still waiting on. The school was going to come out with the statement, right? I haven't heard any statement. I know for a fact the school is watching all of social media. They know the rumors. They know it's hot. All the podcasts, everybody, writers, everybody's writing about it. Would you not, as the AD, come out and say, hey, it's like this, even if it's smoke, it doesn't even matter. Show face. You got to show face, right? And it tells me even more. We're on, what is this? Is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday night. Nothing. It's crickets. And what do we get a report? There's a fight on the team. Thanks.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
And that's another thing I wanted to talk about today too, because like I can't believe that is what we're talking about, right? We're talking about a fight on a football team. That stuff happens all the time. Kids fight, but of course this is amplified, right? So now there's division on the team, and the players, it's the players against the coaches, and this, that, the other, whatever you want to say, right? You could throw crap on the wall, something's gonna stick, right? So everybody's just gonna say stuff now. I didn't make too much of it. I personally, look, I'm gonna be straight up. I've always been honest on this show. I personally didn't like the way Barry Jackson wrote that article. Okay, I mean, and I'm putting it nicely, right? Like, because if you see our group thread, I'm not as nice as I am here on this show. All right, so by putting it nicely, I'm saying I didn't like the way that it was written because it's shisty, it's shady. And I don't roll with that kind of stuff. That's why I don't consider myself a journalist. I don't consider myself that type. That's just not me, man. Right? So like when people do that kind of stuff and the way that he worded that was just absolutely terrible. And honestly, like, when you got people like that writing, it's just going to add more fuel to this whole entire fire that maybe shouldn't even be there to begin with, right? Like we've got enough to deal with. Now we got to deal with these kids talking about, these writers talking about players, fighting with each other because they're trying to take accountability for each other. Like, let them, that's football, man. Let them go. Let them fight. If it's something serious where they're fighting coaches and shit like that, I get it. But this is boys fighting against each other. This is college football, man. It happens in the pros. They don't talk about it. They're throwing blows at each other. It's football, man. Like I've had enough with that. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, it's going to affect us because of what's going on with the coaching, right? So, I mean, Flo, I'm with you, man. Something's got to be said soon from the administration because all of this that's going down right now. Forget about the fans, right? The fans, I get it. If the fans are the fans, and they're gonna want Nick Saban to coach his team. They're gonna want us to pay $10 million for a coach. They're gonna want all these things. It's not about that, right? It's about school. It's about the and I hate to say it because it's very cliche, but it's about the culture. It's about it's about the University of Miami, man. Forget about the fans. It's about the University of Miami, and it's about all those kids that have dreamed to play there, whether they're from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, South Dakota. I don't care where you're from. Like all these kids that dream about playing at this school, and this is the way you're approaching everything. I mean, just sets the wrong precedent for the future, and I think they need to fix that.
Well, I think the thing is, like, I think we all understand we're not going to spend, Nick Saban money on a coach. I think we're asking for something simpler than that. Show you care as much about this program as we do, because we have not seen that from anyone in charge at UM in like 20 years. So show us you actually care about this as much as we do, because they're not. As far as it looks to us, they're not trying. And that's the frustrating part. Like, this was not the best coach you could get, and now it's obvious. And to Flo's point, I wrote something actually before the year started supporting Manny. Like, I really hope he pulls this off. I really like him. This is done, and he knows it's done. You see him on the sideline. He wants to be fired. He's like, I can't do this, right? And
He wants to be fired.
No, I mean, but you look at how the stand, like they leaked that crap to Bruce Feldman, right? With the buyouts, $8 million allegedly. Who knows if any of that's true, right? But the part that really like irked me was yeah, they're looking to see, the kids fought back against Virginia, and they did, credit to them. So they're like, as long as they don't quit, we're good. I'm like, that's the standard now? You lose to one of the worst teams in the ACC, but you didn't quit? Like, that's the type of stuff that irks us. Like, if we actually, you can reasonably look at their behavior over the last 20 years and say they actually don't care about this. Yeah. And that's the frustrating part. Like, we understand, you could spend Nick Saban money on a coach and he could suck too. Our issues are not trying.
But Vish, I swear, I told myself I'm trying not to trip out anymore. But here's the problem for me. You're feeding us bullcrap on top of it. Like that's what like we're dumb. We're stupid. Remember 2 weeks ago? We're aligned from the president to the AD all the way down. We're aligned. Lie. That's a lie, right? Second, we play after a loss. That was encouraging, and we played really well. There was some really bright spots. It's kind of like he's talking to us. Oh, here's the best one, and I brought this up the other day. Do you remember the question when they asked him about development, and he didn't want to answer, so he asked the question back twice? They're like, "So what do you say about the development? How poor the development has been?" That was something like that was the question, and Manny's like, I don't understand the question. Are you meaning like this year, last year? Then they ask him again. And then he's like, you see that in his head, he's turning his wheels like, how do I get out of this question? Right? And that's where it's getting frustrating from someone that started a YouTube channel for fun because he likes Miami and he wanted to chop it up with people. And, it's like, it almost sucks that we get a chance to kind of get relationships where we kind of find out some things. It's worse. It's like worse because now you get the meat and potatoes and you're like, this don't taste that good. It look good on the menu, but it don't look good over here, And that's what I don't respect. It's not that we're having a bad season, is that you're playing us on top of it. That's what pisses me off.
But this is going to get worse because you can't explain the performances on the field. Like, you're coming off the field, you just lost to Michigan State by 21 points. What are you going to say? Like, this is why it's on the administration to get him out of there. Yeah. Like, he's just going to say more ridiculous stuff. Like, we almost did something special. Dude, you got dominated by Virginia at home. What are you talking about? Like, okay, you almost pulled it out, but almost stole it. But it's just going to get worse. It's like, if you can look at Randy Shannon, Al Golden, year one to year four, like to the end of their tenure, and how much more ridiculous the stuff that came out of their mouth was. Because once you know that they're gone, like I remember Randy Shan's last year when he got blown out by Florida State. It's like, that's not a big deal. If you had asked him that in year one, he would have been like, that's a big deal. We can't be losing to Florida State. That's our rival. But by the time they get to that point where they know they're done, they're out of excuses. They own the program at this point. They've been there long enough. There's nothing else to do. Like, they're asked questions like, I don't know, I'm screwing it up. You can all see this, right? We barely beat Appalachian State. What do you want me to say? We're good? We're not. We're not. Everyone knows it. I know I'm finished. They're not going to say that, so they come up with stupid stuff like this was special, almost had it, didn't play for the field goal, all this crap, because they're basically just wasting air at this point.
And it's funny that you mentioned the Randy Shannon era and Al Golden and all that, and just to add more to this, then you get Devin Hester out there talking to Shannon Sharp, his whole interview. You got Reggie Youngblood on Twitter. I don't know if you saw that, talking about how his mother passed away and nobody except Swayze and Vic said something, condolences. I mean, it's really not just, and Vish, I think you'll agree with this. It's not only a Manny issue, right? This has been going on for 15, 20 years now, where we're hiring. First of all, we're just hiring within the program with. I mean, you could start off with Coker, but that doesn't really, listen, you won a national title there. But then you got Randy Shannon, so you're just they're lazy hires. Bottom line, right? They're lazy hires.
Well, they're cheap.
Right, cheap and lazy, right? Cheap and lazy.
Because the cheap is the problem. Because Rich was a lazy hire, but he was a professional coach, so he could attract assistant coaches. The problem you have is you hire Randy Shannon, you hire Manny Diaz. The caliber of assistants they get are going to be lower. The people that are willing to work for them, it just filters down. Like, we've not taught well in a long time. Like this whole thing of, we can recruit in South Florida. How come the option is never, hey, let's just coach our players up and beat people? It's always like that next class is going to do something. I'm like, or we could coach. That is an option.
And you know how I feel. You know how I feel about recruiting in South Florida. I mean, I love it. I get it. But listen, man, there's some of the best players that ever played at Miami. We're nowhere near from South Florida, so don't give me that either. You got to go get the best of the best of the best. I don't want to hear the excuse of the state of Florida and all that state of
But
Miami.
it doesn't even matter where they came from. If you don't coach them when they're on campus, it doesn't matter.
No, 100%.
No one comes out of high school like knowing how to play.
But you brought up a really good point, and a lot of people don't talk about this. Is that it's not even about the sexy hire. We need somebody that's not a sexy hire but has a really good Rolodex. Meaning, like when he starts calling for assistance, he has a list, not like a friend that he coached with at another college. You know what I'm saying? Like a dumb example. I'm just throwing a name out there. This would be a non-sexy hire because of how disciplinary he is, no one would really like. I don't think a lot of the fans would like it, right? A Greg Schiano here, he is not the sexy hire. He's kind of that face, and you know how he is. But do you know the type of staff that man could put together? And he wouldn't be excited. We'd be like, oh, no, not him. He did this. It's not even him. He could just be a CEO. I don't even care if he coaches, to be honest with you, right? It's the position coaches that man could hire. Vish hit it right on the head. Look at our staffs that we've had in the last 15 years.
But would you say the staff we have now is not a good one? We got some. Would you say we've got some pretty good guys now? T-Rob and Lashley and Likens and those guys.
I'm a guy that goes by results, right? So for me, I can't dispute T-Rob's resume. I can't dispute that. But I'm seeing, and I love me some Coach Likens. I love the kind of person he is. I see receivers dropping balls still. Coach Justice, when he's interviewed, he says the right stuff. Our offensive line, which was supposed to be a strength this year, is atrocious. Yeah. Rhett Lashley, he runs that spread, but a lot of people left out that he runs a run spread. Big difference, right?
Yeah, people don't know that, right?
But people don't know that. And when he did have it, he was under, like he was the OC at SMU, but he has Sonny Dykes there, who's a legend in the passing game. People don't. And when he was good at Auburn, look who was above him there. So. Rhett Lashley, well, I'm sorry. We were in the stands. We call out the plays according to the formation before the ball snapped.
Absolutely.
And we're just fans.
Right. And Flo hit the nail on the head. These are guys we got excited about for various reasons. Like after Enos, like getting Lashley.
Is exciting.
Well, it's not just that, but Lashley is up tempo and we're like, thank God, Enos bleeding the clock down to 1. Yep. And then so it was a good style shift for us. This is a dude that got fired at Auburn. Right, and then landed at SMU. Now I'm not saying we were much better last year. He's certainly way better than Enos. I'm not ripping him or anything, but he's not like elite coordinator, right? He's in that lower tier. Manny Diaz made himself the defensive coordinator. We wouldn't have a defensive coordinator, right? Like DVD never been a coach before. He's now the defensive backs coach. T-Rob has cachet. You mentioned Likens. Like some of these guys are okay. Garen Justice we got from I think UNLV. It was like that's not like these are guys that I think got excited about would these guys be coaching at Clemson or Alabama? No. And if we're trying to compete with those, like you got to eventually build your staff into Flo's point. Someone like Sean who's got connections everywhere. If you get a big time coach and doesn't have to be, a sexy name brand, they'll have that network. They'll be able to get top quality assistants. People want to work for them. Exactly. And you saw that with Rick. He brought a staff with him.
Yes.
And someone pointed out in the chat, it was Derek Burnett, who I know pretty well. Rick, year 1, finally won a bowl game. It's still the only bowl game we've won since Coker. And then only 10-win season since Coker. That's the first 2 years just with the real coach. And Rick does not like Hall of Fame. Actually, maybe he will just because of the win total. He's not a national championship coach. He just is a good football coach.
He gave us an infrastructure. We didn't even know what an infrastructure was.
Exactly. Like the whole thing of like, I'm going to set this program up. We're going to run practices a certain way. We're going to run, like, this is the speed we're going to work at in practice. This is how we're going to do the off season. Like all of that stuff, when you have a proper head coach, that's what elevates you. That's how you don't get run over by Virginia.
And that's what Flo and you both of you mentioned, right? CEO. That's a CEO. That's the guy that puts everything together, and that's exactly what you need at this point. Okay, so just going off of that, right? Let's kind of and I hate to do this, but it is what it is. This is the point that we're at in this season. Let's talk about who are your CEOs? Who are the guys that could possibly make a difference here at Miami? Who are you thinking about Flo, who are the guys that come to mind?
Do you want realistic or unrealistic?
I want. You know what? At this point, we need realistic, right? I mean, I guess unrealistic. I know who I would pick as my unrealistic. But who's
for me, my unrealistic, because as long as Blake's here, he won't even pick up the phone, is Mario. I would love Mario, and not because he's like this unbelievable head coach, because he's still learning how to hit. It's the Rolodex, it's the discipline, it's the recruiting, and it's how the character of the team look. It looks like a program. Like, say what you want about Oregon that they lost to Stanford, but they look like a program. Like, it looks like when they look organized, right? They look disciplined. Like it looks like a program. And his resume on recruiting, you're talking about the number one recruiter in the nation for like 4 years in a row. Like, we're not talking like he's pretty good. No, we're talking about the number one guy. He wants you, he gets you. But I like he's hard nosed. He's got connections, but the Rolodex. But I think he's unrealistic because I don't know if Blake is leaving, to be honest. Now, that's a whole other topic. We'll talk another time, I guess. But realistic, I think I really, really like a lot is the guy over at Liberty. I like Hugh Freeze.
Hugh Freeze? Hugh Freeze,
yes. I like Hugh Freeze a lot, and I'll tell you why. I think he has a little bit of the personality that Miami would like, but he has SEC experience and winning SEC experience. Not because I hate when they go, he coached in the SEC. Well, so what? Let me go see what he did. Like, whoopee-doo. Like, okay, you got a big check, but what did you do against the SEC, right? That dude is legit, and he's got a good mind. He's getting paid like 3.5 at Liberty, right? And he has a good offensive mind, but
that's a solid program right now, too.
Yeah, and what I like about him is, back to what Vish is saying, he's going to have a good Rolodex. He'll be able to put a good staff together, not a first-time head coach. He is in our budget range. We'd probably have to give him 4 to 5, right, to get him out of there. He'll be able to recruit because of the style of offense. And I think that's a realistic hire that I would be like, hey, that's a good upgrade. I don't think we're championship because until Blake is gone, we can't sniff the playoffs. We can't sniff. But I think Hugh gets us 9 or 10 wins this season.
This.
Yeah, I don't think Miami would touch him. He was the one who had like the hooker problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like something that could go really wrong in Miami, but
By the way, time out really quick. We got to give big props to Chuck.
Oh shit.
Chuck beer.
We appreciate the love, my man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the contribution. I mean, look, he's right. The administration doesn't care about Miami sports in general. These people will not make the changes needed. We all hope you're wrong, man. We all hope you're wrong.
I don't know if Miami would do the Hugh Freeze.
Here's the thing, Bish. Let me just chime in on that. That's why I don't think they're going to touch Lane either, right? But let me just say this: what Hugh has, and I'm not a Hugh guy. It's just I'm just giving you what I think is going to happen because his name is going to be on that list. He's one of the hot guys that everybody's going to be after, right? I think because he went to a place like Liberty, which is a religious school, and he has behaved, Miami may look at him. But I agree with you. The administration is the way they are right now. I don't know. But I think Liberty helps him because if you know anything about Liberty, they're praying 15 times a day over there.
Listen, that's true, man. You never.
Yeah, no, it could be a redemption story.
But like you both said, I mean, they're so hesitant. They're soft, man. Yeah. They're soft, and that's the problem. For me, I'll be honest with you. I know some people kind of rank on me for this, but. Listen, why not? My unrealistic is try to take Urban Meyer back. Just bring him down. He doesn't belong in the NFL. Bring him down to the NCAA. Bring him down to college football again. And of course, that's not going to happen either. Especially after he just stuck his finger up some girl's ass. Yeah,
that man can't. Miami is like the worst place for that man.
There's no.
He needs to go. He needs to go to Idaho or no disrespect if anybody's from Idaho. I'm just saying.
He was all right at Utah, but he's gonna run into trouble here.
Right. He'd be great at Utah again, right? Okay, so who do you think?
So I think my dream choice is the same as Flo as Mario. Not in addition to what he highlighted. The thing I like about watching, and they lost this weekend, obviously, I think they're tough. Yeah. I'm so tired of getting pushed around, man. Like, I want to hit people in the face, and Mario does that. Like, he's brought – Oregon was always the razzle-dazzle, not tough team. He's completely turned that team into they get physical. And he even honored us this weekend when he lost in a BS pass interference. Like, that man's all in. So they called pass interference after the game was over and gave them an untied down. His team lost. I'm like, man, this guy's going full Fiesta Bowl last time. But I agree. He's definitely not going to work for Blake. Like, and so that's going to lower the caliber of coach we can get flat out. If you got that guy as the AD, he's not respected. So that's going to lower our ceiling. I do think someone Flo mentioned earlier, Shiano's probably my floor. I think he's definitely gettable. I think he'll take it. And there's no baggage there than the fake crap Tennessee made up about him to try and run him out of town, which worked. How'd that work out for them? Idiots. But like, so he's like the lowest for me, like in terms of, not that he's bad, just that like if we got someone worse than him, I'd be pretty upset. Because I think he's gettable and I think he's solid and he'll at least professionalize our program and set us up.
Flo, I know we gotta let you go now, man. But it was a pleasure. We really need to do this again, man. You are the man. I totally appreciate it. I should be carrying your bags, my brother.
Yeah, no. Right? Anytime you're ready, boy. I'm big now. I can carry two at once, you know?
Thank you so much. Hey, by the way, tell everybody where they can catch you, kind of give a shout out to your show and your Twitter, everything, the whole nine.
Yeah, no, it's simple. Miami Flow. It's a channel. We got a few shows on the channel now. We got the Sebastian Lane show with E and Dave on Thursday nights. And then we have the Maxed Out show on Tuesdays with Max and myself, and we bring on the Storm Warning crew, and just it's hilarious. It's a big arguing match. And then Sunday I do my thing, and it's just basically we bring on guests and we just chop it up. It's easy. We have fun. We just keep it 100. We're not for everybody. I'm not going to lie, because we don't sugarcoat a lot of things, but we definitely don't disrespect either. I really appreciate you guys a lot. I watch you guys all the time, man. And like I told you, that article was fire, by the way. Jazz,
thanks.
Jazz, anytime you need that bag carry, bro, just let me know. I got you.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it again, man. Thank you, Flo, for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, man.
So,
Danny, where were you, bro? you were enjoying, huh? You were enjoying that.
I was just listening because there's a lot of factors when you talk about something like this happening in a program, and there's a lot of things at play here. You guys mentioned it, the lack of a statement from Miami this week, the possible coaching hires, the lack of cohesiveness,
alignment, the lack of alignment, right?
Lack of alignment, lack of cohesiveness. And I liked the point that you guys brought up about, with a real athletic director, he or she takes charge of the situation and not the Board of Regents. From my understanding, a Board of Regents is here to offer suggestions, give approval, but the athletic director usually has their stamp on the final decision. The Board of Regents should not be, I'm not going to say heavily involved, because they are, given their positions, but the athletic director should have a stamp on head coaching hire. And the fact that there's been no word about any of this week and everybody kind of seems discombobulated is concerning. And I was just listening because, there's a lot of directions that Miami can go in. There's a lot of positives for the Miami program, just as a program, for recruits to come and for coaches to come. But none of that is going to matter without cohesiveness. And it's frustrating because Miami does have a lot of great resources and a lot of great recruits, and even a portion I'll say of the coaching staff is solid. It's just they have the materials, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but they can't get over the hump. And when they'll be able to get over the hump, I don't know. I'll be interested to see, if names are leaked as potential coaching candidates and what transpires, because, reporters, I like writing. I have my own website. I'm a journalist. I would be eating this stuff up. but I hate rumors, so I won't do that. But no, it's just
Yeah, but
it's
there's
a
a
whole bunch
difference.
of
There's a difference between having some integrity, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, and being just a straight up shiesty scumbag style guy, right?
Well, yeah.
And there's an inherent difference you can tell by the writing.
Oh yeah.
You know, the writing that people do, right? And that's what irks me the most is, you know, rumors are rumors, and people are going to talk about rumors all the time, and that's fine. But it's just the way that you go about it and the way that you know, you kind of cite your sources and this, that, and the other. I think it's a crock of, you know, it's a crock half the time. The way that they do it, especially down here in South Florida, we're like the worst at it, right? Like we're notorious for being shisty when it comes to the media and everything.
Boston's
Anyways.
pretty bad. I'll say that. Boston is pretty bad as
Oh
well.
yeah, well yeah, you're up there too. That's true. Although
But,
we won yesterday, baby. Who gives a shit? We won. Who
We did
cares?
win yesterday. Too bad Manny's not here. But
Well, the problem with the way at least UM does things is there's no actual authority figure.
Right.
So
Yeah.
someone like you mentioned Barry Jackson earlier, he'll write an entire article on a board of trustees member told me blah blah blah. Who gives a shit? Who is that person? There's like 5 million people on the board of trustees. Why do I care? Right? And it's all of it. They're just being used to get a certain message out there, and that's why it's all messy. Like when half the board of trustee members that are leaking stuff are just like, not my fault. Right? I mean, that's half the message out there is kind of like, I know this guy sucks, but it's not me, man. It's, you know,
but it generates clicks. It generates clicks.
That's what it's
and
all
it gets
about.
the
Yeah. At
story.
the end of the day.
And that's the bottom line.
By the way, obviously we have to go already because we're pressed for time here. By the way, thank you, Dave, for producing the show in the background,
thank you,
man.
Dave.
We appreciate it, my brother. And by the way, my number one guy, unrealistic, is definitely Urban Meyer, unrealistically, right? But realistically, I still think we have an outside shot at Cristobal. Okay, I still think we have an outside shot at Mario. I know a lot of things need to go our way. I know Blake James might not need to be around. I know a lot of things need to go our way, but I think that if they do go away, Mario jumps at the opportunity. You know?
I think I agree. Actually, I think if he thinks that he'll have the resources behind him and the opportunity to compete here, he'll leave in a second. Like his brother's still here, his mom's still in Miami. Like his roots are all here.
Absolutely.
And he knows he can win big at Miami if they give him the opportunity to do that. And he's not going to go work for Blake James. No one respectable will do that. So that's like blocker number one. But also it's just like, yes, we'll give you money first half. We'll allow you to like compete here. I think he would take it in a second.
I'm with you. We'll see what happens, guys. It's going to be an exciting week and a half to see what's going on. But thank you guys so much again. We'll be back next week. Make sure you guys check us out on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Also on the YouTube Network channel as well. We'll be on there. Also, make sure you click subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and we always appreciate the donations as well. Again, Chug my beer.
Thanks, man.
Big ups to you, my brother. Anyways, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much, Vish, Danny. You guys are always awesome. And thanks again to Flo. Yep. We'll see you guys again. Take it easy. Go Canes.
Go Canes.